Here we are at week 9, right after midterm. We are kind of 9.5, I've got written on the board over there. It's a cold, windy day today, and it's not to say that tennis is not played outside when it's cold or windy. Usually the parameters around playing outside, if it's below freezing, we don't play. If it is wet, we don't play because it's too easy to slip on the courts. That's as far as a health or a safety hazard, something that we look at. The courts get enormously slick. First semester in the fall, I talked about how hot the courts are, that the courts absorb between 10 and 15 degrees of heat on them. So if we're already here in Texas and it's already 100 degrees, those courts may be between 110 and 115 degrees. So that's the amount of temperature that's coming up through the bottom of your feet. And then it doesn't do that so much as transfer the cold like it does the heat, but that's usually a point that happens. Plus the balls don't bounce if they're that cold. The balls themselves don't come back up, so even if we could withstand it, they wouldn't come back up. We also use the wind chill factor, so maybe it actually is 35 or 36 degrees, but when the wind comes up, if the wind chill factor takes it under freezing point under 32, then typically no leagues player, matches player, things of that sort. Now, I don't know exactly the rule on miles per hour. I do know that I've been outside and played when it's just enormously windy, and those conditions still apply. But I do know that there were 2 times in class that we got out and played last spring that we started off warming up and we stopped and came inside because literally the ball would not go one direction. Like if you were hitting against the wind, you would hit it as hard as you could, and the ball just literally would just go a few feet in front of you. And then if you were on the other side and you barely touched it, the ball just flew across. So that's really pointless during that time to play because it really doesn't do anything for your game as far as that goes. But it's playing a little bit, and a lot of times we still do have class. I'm just talking about things that affect play and things that have to do, not so much with etiquette, but just have to do with the overall general rules of play. That it's too cold, it's too wet because the course gets slippery and it'd be really easy for you to slip and fall, or if it was overly windy, a storm was coming in or something, that's what we probably would play during that time. But again, today 9.5 is on strategies, and as you can see on the board that I've got written over there, the strategies I've written down are mental and physical. And I've set up here to where it can be a singles game or a doubles game. And since I've got the setup of 4 cones, so we'll go ahead and start off talking about a doubles game as far as strategy. We're going to take it a little bit at a time, and then we're going to go back and I'm going to list some stuff mentally and physically as we get going. So here we are over in this area, and this team has 1 service of the ball. So again, on the offense, the player who is not serving on the offense, and that means the serving team, he will position himself in the middle of the service box. So that right there off the bat is strategy there because he wants to be able to pick anything off that comes anywhere close to him. On the defensive team, which means the team that's receiving, that net person will be start off playing right at the back of the service box so that they can help make service line calls. Then the receiver will be standing behind the baseline, give or take, or if they know it's not going to be a really heavy server or really deep or hard server, they can be right inside an area called no man's land. And no man's land is this gray area in here on both sides that you move through. You move through forward to get to the net or backward to get behind the baseline. You typically try not to play in this area. That's because most of the balls come at your feet. So they come too deep to hit a volley, but too short to hit a ground stroke. So you want to kind of keep out of this play area right here. But what happens on a ball that is served, the ball is bouncing in a service box. It's bouncing here, not bouncing deep. It's bouncing here in this area because that's the rule of a serve. It has to bounce in the service box to be a legal serve. So that means that the person returning does not have to be so far back. It's not the same thing as a bounce at the baseline. It's a bounce in the box. This person's position of the server needs to be middle of the box they're returning from. If they stand too far over towards their forehand, then it leaves too much room here for them to return a backhand serve, and then vice versa. If they're protecting their backhand and they want to hit a forehand return, again, they can be pulled out wide. Because remember, the server could angle off, and the trajectory would take it this far out. So if they're playing too close to the backhand, this is again strategy. So this server over here, we'll pick on the server first, and then we'll go back and each person talk about their strategy. The server wants to see where this person is lined up. Now, typically in doubles, the server stands from the center service mark to the double sideline, which is on the outside. They usually stand halfway into it. And the reason why is if they stand too close to the center service mark, which is reserved for the singles player, then they lose all of this area. They've only got about 3/4 of the court covered between the two of them, and this area over here is not covered, okay? So when he serves, he wants to serve from the middle of this particular side of the court that he's responsible for, so that he can then be in a place to hit anything in this area. As also, his partner is playing at the net, and you can see over here in the middle of the net, so they can cut off a ball that comes across, or they can cut off a ball that comes down the line on the return. If this person decides that they're going to play too close to the alley or the line, then it leaves a lot of the middle court open. And who do you remember is responsible for the middle of the court in doubles? It's the person with the forehand. So if they left this open, then this is putting this position right here to hopefully have such a good backhand that can cover the middle. Okay, now you change as a unit. This is what happens a lot in doubles. You change as a unit. You don't ever want to get too far away from each other. They used to talk about having a string with each other in doubles. If they're equal distance from each other, and as they move, they want to be fairly equal to cut off. So we don't want, if this person moves up to the net, we don't want this person over here that's already on the net to go too far out, because it leaves too much area that is unmanned, so to speak, too much area that would not be able to have a return on. That's what you want to get away from. So you want to make sure we're still in an equal distance here. So back to the server. The server is responsible for starting off right in the middle as they serve. The returner, again, is in the position to where they want to be able to cover forehand, backhand, a shorter serve, or a deeper serve that pops up. That's what they want. The partner to the receiving person wants to be able to be in a position to make a good line call to see if that serve is proper. Did the serve land deep? So it needs to be called. No, it's a fault. Did it hit the net and fall into the correct court? Then yes, they have to call a lat. Did it hit the net and fall outside? They would say no, it hit the net, but it was still long. So they're in the best position to make this call right here. So if they stand back here, they're too far back, plus they've given up a lot of poaching area or a lot of cutoff area. So their job from here, if this partner makes a really good cross-court return and it pulls the server way over here, then look at the position this person's in. They're going to have a really nice job of cutting off a poor return. But also, they need to think about that if they move over too close to the center of the court, then look what opens up over here strategy-wise. Look what opens up. But, on the other hand, this person was pulled really far over here, the server, so they're making a weak return. So the net person moves across. Now look what this net person can do. They can hit really close to the opposite net person at an angle. They can hit behind them, which nobody can get to. They can hit down the middle, or they can lob it up over, which means that this person gets no chance at it, and this person is so out of position, the server, they can't run back fast enough to get to it. So key position, putting the serve into play, that maybe makes not as strong a return, and then following up with the person that's watching what they're doing. Now, having said that, let's go over to the server's partner that's already in the middle of the court. The server's partner is in such a perfect shot for the return of the serve. They're in such a perfect shot because anything goes wrong on that return of the serve, this person is close enough to the net to put that ball away, which means that they can put the ball into play very short. They can't get it, they can't get it. They can put it over this person's head. They probably can't run over and get it. They can put it at an angle, a short angle, that the receiving person could not get back. They can hit it behind this net person, or, and it's not really good sportsmanship, but they can actually hit it at this person. And when you do that, strategy-wise, you're not hitting at the person, you're hitting at their feet. You're hitting down to a shot that is hard to get to. You're trying to jam them at their feet. They're not trying to bodily do harm here by hitting it. And I'm not to say that doesn't ever happen, but it certainly should not happen on purpose. Everybody sometimes has a ball that gets away from them, but it should not happen on purpose that you're deliberately trying to hit someone. There's not a reason for that. So we've talked about a great deal about where the server needs to serve from and then what it presents. And the server's watching to see what this person is favoring. If they're staying right in the middle of the court, then they know that they're just going to take a chance and say, well, typically people are weaker on the backhand side. Typically they are. The reason why this person is playing on this side is because they have a strong forehand. The reason why this person is playing on this side is because they have a strong backhand. That's usually why people set up on the sides they do. I'm not saying that this person's not left-handed or they didn't look at it like that, but typically they'll say, when you go out as a partnership, which side do you prefer? This person would have said, I feel stronger on my forehand. So that stands to reason that the server would say, okay, they're in the middle of the court. Let's see what their backhand's like. I'm going to hit a serve that's going to come fairly close to the center service line. Now remember, all lines are good. All lines are good. So it hits any portion of that center service line all the way down. It's going to be good as a serve. And I say all the way down, I mean in the service box area. Any part of this line is still good. So they may start off right there off of the first. I'm going to hit it to their backhand and see how well they hit their backhand. Maybe they hit a good backhand, and maybe the next time he serves, he says, okay, when I serve to him, I'm going to try to serve it more towards the corner instead of in the middle to see how well he moves. Does he move well side to side? Does he try to outrun it, or does he go up and cut it off? So what are his choices right there? So if this person that's returning is having trouble with that serve, the first in almost 90% of serves and doubles, the serve returns are sent back cross court. Almost 90% of them. Because cross court puts it in play. And remember, the number one thing when you're playing is to be able to get your serve in or to get your return back. So that person that's serving, their number one thing they're thinking about is getting their serve, one of their two serves, in the service box. The receiver, the returner, his number one thing that he's thinking about is returning the ball and putting it back in play. And after that, and it goes into a rally, after that it's what everyone else does. So if you want to say strategy-wise is to get your serve in, strategy-wise is to get your return back. Okay, these two positions are to always be ready for a ball, no matter what, no matter if it's hit weird, it's hit in the wrong place. You always want to think in doubles, the ball's coming to me, the ball's coming to me, the ball's coming to me, so that you're always ready. You want to just assume that you may have to get the next ball. So being ready is a super, super part of your physical strategy. Always being ready. Always being ready. That's a huge part of it from there. Now say this guy hits a really good, this person over here, the yellow cone, hits a really good serve. And we can't quite get the return we want. The next best return is to lob the ball. Remember what we said back earlier in the semester, lobs are offensive and defensive, okay? This would be a defensive lob, and it would go up and the server comes across over here in order to get that ball back protected. This guy can't just stay over there and go, oh, the serve went over my head. This is the way you switch and you protect. Well, now we've got two people across each other. Two people across each other, okay? So, the person sitting back is the lob. Typically, he would want to lob that because he's had to run all the way back over there to get that. So his strategy is, I've got to get back again. So he probably would like to isolate and stay over in this side. Either hit another lob over here or a ground stroke over here. He's going to be chancy if he hits anything cross court because of this guy. He's going to be chancy if he hits anything short because of this guy. So his strategy should be to stay over in this area. Now he could, if he's very successful, he could send back up another lob, like was given to him, that would go over this net person's head. He could do that. So that would be a backhand lob to a backhand. So he's hitting from his backhand side to this person's backhand over there, and then we would change again. This person goes across, that net person goes across, they switch, they'll switch or change, and then they come across to return this lob. So we want to keep it away from the net people. The net people are the people that are going to put the ball away 9 times out of 10, unless they're just totally not ready or they're out of position. They're going to put the ball away. So you want to make sure nothing falls short or close enough to them that they can put the ball away. The people in the back of the court, the backcourt people, they tend to see the whole court. They see where everybody's at. This purple guy over here can see where everybody's at. So they can see that, okay, I've got to hit it short. I've got to drop it in the middle. I've got to keep it away from this person. I've got to get it over their head high enough that they can't hit it overhead. So it has to be at least as high as their racket and their hand extended so they can't jump up and get it. Okay? So there's a lot going on here. When it comes to you, you already have something in mind. Once they've switched to this position, then the guy said, when it comes back to me, I already know what my choices are going to be. Okay, what if this guy sends back a really nice lob? The yellow guy sends back a really nice lob, and they see this guy is having trouble getting to it. This person's having trouble getting to it. You've got to remember when a lob comes up, you're looking up. You're looking up to watch it. You're not looking down to see wherever anybody goes. Okay, so we could have several things strategy-wise going on. We could have this net person come up, ready to pick something off, or we could have this person, because they hit it so deep, the original server, come up into the court. Okay, those are ways to put pressure on this person back here. Puts a lot of pressure. This strategy of now we're going to have almost 2 people in the same area that can go forward or backward or split apart. So that's putting pressure on this team over here to make a really good shot. I mean, there's not a lot open now. Maybe he could hope to hit it down the middle. He's not really going to be able to lob over anybody's head because both of these people are not really close to the net now. So it's going to have to be an even higher lob that lands in. They can't really hit a ground stroke because either one of these could step up possibly and take it in the air or take it as if they were hitting a half volley. They could do that. This puts this poor guy in a lot of jeopardy. Man, he's just like a sitting duck up here. So all the pressure now comes on this person. They have to get that rally back in order that these two now that have come together strategy-wise have kind of presented as united front here. So that was just talking, all of this happened from this guy's serve. So doubles is a continual moving around, communicating with your partner wherever you are, saying, I've got this, you've got this, move over, stay to your right, center on something, and then come back after this point's over. Say what happened was this guy right here, he wound up not making a very successful return. It came through the middle and they just put the ball away. Okay, they're going to regroup. That point's over. Now it's back. We're still serving. We're still serving over here. They have to switch back because we always receive by different persons. So this time it's the blue guy's time to return, and his partner has gone up to the the back of the service line so he can make a call. But in between setup for this next one, these two people get together and say, well, bummer, that didn't go very well. What do you think we should do next time? What do you think we should be looking at? And they'll say, okay, I think we need to isolate, and when we get over there in that lob situation over there, I think we need to keep the play over there until when the ball goes short before we can change it up. Or I think I need to move over a little bit because it looks like their backhand is really strong, and it looks like they're going to continually hit cross court. So you use each one of the points to see what's working. What is working with you as a team versus what's working over there. Or what's not working over here, and change it up. You say, well, I tried to lob over his head. Okay, then don't keep doing that because the lob's not working. Or maybe you can say, look, the sun is in our eyes over here, so we'll have to wait and lob when we're on the other side, or the wind is with us. There's a lot of parameters in here. There's a lot of variables to think about. But doubles is all about communication and hitting the shots you need to hit. Which again, the shots you need to hit are not necessarily the shots you want to hit. I know that sounds weird to say it like that, but that's the whole point of strategy and doubles. Mental and physical. This person right here is saying, man, just give me the ball, man. I just want to drive it. I just want to hit it. I want to slam it back. I want to put a lot of pressure on it. When actually the shot that he gets needs to be a drop shot right here. Okay, a drop shot right there. Drop shot, we talked about drop shots. How to kind of cut a ball and cut off and let it drop. And a very effective drop shot, which people practice all the time, is you practice one time getting it to drop one bounce here before somebody can get it. The next time, drop it 2 bounces. And then eventually, does your ball bounce 3 times before that person can come up and get it? How good is your drop shot? Working on your drop shot. Forehand, backhand drop shot, a little slice with it. Some people can hit a ball with a little English on it, back up, and the ball actually bounces and comes back. So there's a lot of things to be said for a drop shot. That person is already set back. So why are you going to keep giving the ball back to them? Drop the ball, drop it short. But mentally, people think that's not what I want to do. And another thing is, 9 shots out of 10, if someone hits an angle to you, then your best return is to hit an angle back. And that's because logistically, it's hard to change directions of the ball. So when that ball comes cross court, it's really a lot easier for this person to set up to hit that ball cross court instead of turning and hitting that ball down the line. Now, if this person's moved all the way over and has given up their alley, then you've got more time, more preparation, more room to hit down the line and pass this net person. So that's watching strategy-wise. Is this person always coaching, over there, always cutting across, leaving their alley open? Then yes, that's a chance to take it, and that'll make this person stay home. They'll stay close to their alley to protect it after that, which then, if they do that, that opens up the middle of the court and the angle shots even more because they can't pick them off. So each point you play, you kind of think about it. And you kind of think what's going to be the best thing, because then you learn more about your opponents and you learn more about what's happening between you and your partner. So those are all really important things to do. All of those are very important. Okay, now having said that, to carry that even further, we've talked about just now shot selection. We've talked about positioning on the court. We've talked about partner communication. All of those are part of strategy. All of those are. Another thing that comes into it, which also has to do with mental, and again, we're going to list these down, and then you're going to kind of be able to go through them and then kind of let me know some things after this as we go along. What's to say when this serve comes in, kind of maybe it's his second serve, and it's not got as much on it as his first serve usually does. His second serve is a little weaker, but he had to get it into play. So this person steps into it and decides that as they come in to return the serve, they're going to approach the net. So they have more time to drive it, they have more time to angle it, they have more time to pop it over this person's head, they have more time to pass this person. If this person goes, oh my gosh, they're approaching, and they start backing themselves up because they don't think they can get the ball. So this person has gone on the offense. Remember, this is usually the defensive team returning, but this person's gone on the offense on this return and has changed the whole point plan right here. So that might be something to think about, because this guy back here, now the server, wow, he's having to really hurry up. He didn't expect this. He thought he was going to have more time to get in position after his serve to know where it was coming back, but he did not. So the server has to prepare immediately after he serves the ball to get in a return position. So if he moves too far back, too far into the court, too far to the side of the court, this guy sees it. This guy is all ready to watch what happened, whether he got ready or not. But if this guy gets served, even if it's a second weaker serve, he was immediately ready to hit the ball back. That takes a lot off this person. He says, I see him coming in, so I'm ready for him. I see him and he's going to angle, so I'm already kind of ready to move there. I've already got my ready position from my stance and I'm ready to hit a forehand. Or I see he's going to pop it over, so I've already kind of moved in that direction. But if that person's not ready, the server's not ready, too many opportunities for this over here. Too many opportunities. Now, granted, all this can be going along and you are just off on your execution that day. It's one thing to have a good miss, as they tell you. I missed the shot I needed to hit. I didn't execute. I wasn't quite on my follow-through. That's all a bummer when you know that you had the right shot, you thought the right shot, you attempted the right shot, you were ready for the right shot, but your execution wasn't there. So then that goes back to us practicing. Practicing our serves, practicing our returns, practicing our ground strokes. That's what execution is about. Execution means that even though we can do it in drill, doesn't always mean that we can do it in gameplay. There's a big difference between hitting with someone, practicing drills, and actually having it count for a point in gameplay. So that gets us to kind of talking a little bit on mental here. So I'm going to switch around, and I'm going to take these two players away, and we're going to talk about mental when we get into singles play. And I'm not saying there's not a mental aspect for doubles, but what happens in doubles is, what's nice is you've always got another person to bounce ideas off of. And the whole point of doubles is you're assuming or hoping that you're not both off at the same time. You're hoping that you're a partnership. So if your partner is not hitting well, then you get to pick up the slack. You can say, I got this one, I can do this, or don't worry about that, I can come in and get something from you so you won't have to worry about that. So that's a nice thing about playing doubles. Now singles, it's just you. It's you to pep yourself up, you to figure it out, you mentality-wise to get it going. It takes more of a toll in singles than it does in doubles, because obviously every single ball is yours. Every single time you serve, it's yours. Every single time you return, it's going to be your return. So in doubles, you're doing just half of that. Every other time you serve, every other time you return. You don't always hit every ball in a row. So singles puts more mental pressure on you, and then obviously more physical pressure, because you're moving more in singles than you do in doubles. Doubles, and that's why a lot of people like to play doubles, is because they don't want to run that much, or they don't want to move that much, or they don't want to have to be good in that many shots. They can say, well, my backhand's better, so I can stay just playing with the backhand. Which is, in singles, you can't just have a backhand or a forehand. Although they tell you that even though you think you have a weaker shot, a lot of times it makes your better side stronger, but you still have to adapt and have a shot that's not as weak, or you give up on it. Otherwise, in singles, it's really easy to use that to your disadvantage. So, singles set up automatically right off the bat. You need to serve closer to the singles closer to the center service mark. If you choose to serve in singles like you do in doubles, you've given up half of your court coverage. If I see somebody that's serving to me from this position over there, I'm going to hit all day long down the line. I'm going to hit all day long down their backhand. If they're starting off serving from the forehand or the ad side, the deuce side, I'm going to be over here. I'm always going to return. Even if I have to push the ball over, even if it falls short, I'm going to return always over here because they're too far away. They're too far away. So don't start yourself out with a negative by being in the wrong position to serve singles from. And then the same thing from over here. I'll have people tell me all the time in singles, well, I can get a really good angle. This is true. You can get a really good angle. But if the person can hit anything back, you've given up way too much of your court. So don't let that be your reasoning that I'm going to serve all the way over here in singles because I can get a really good angle. You need to serve right here, which is close to the center surface mark. Returning person still does that. They still stay in the center of their area, so they don't give off the five. Again, if I have someone that I see that's doing this on their return of serve, then I don't care how easy it is, I'm going to always hit it to the forehand corner of the service box because they're telling me they don't want to hit a backhand, they only want to hit a forehand. There's no way they can get over that far. Or I'll deliberately hit it down the line to crowd them so that what the ball does is it hits more towards their center. They think that I'm going to give them a forehand, but I'm using this part of the court. So nothing's harder to do than to get out of your own way when I don't want to hit a backhand, when I just wouldn't step around and hit a backhand back. So again, don't give out your position. Don't give out what you don't do well at by positioning yourself one way or another. You can still do the split step after the serve comes and move yourself one way or another. I think in an earlier lesson I told you that if you run around your backhand with your forehand, it's called an inside out. I'm hitting from inside the ball out. And the same thing on your forehand. If you run around your forehand to hit a backhand, then I'm doing the same thing. I'm hitting inside out. Because backhands should always be on the left side, forehands are on the right. But if I want to do it the other way around, and I move around that shot, that's called an inside out. If you look ahead and you watch the professionals play, you'll almost see all the time from serving that the server comes in really deep and it comes in towards their backhand. You will watch the professional player get lined up like this to hit because he wants to hit all the way in this little corner over here. That's where he wants to hit. And he wants it to angle out away. So he's hitting from the inside out. That ball's going to move away. That's why he's doing that. Which is if he stayed here to hit a backhand, he couldn't get quite that angle. It wouldn't work. But again, I'm talking about professionals doing that. Now, singles play, we have a serve and we have a return. Now look where I've got so many different types of returns from the serve. But remember, my number one thing I'm thinking about, right? My number one thing I'm thinking about is getting the ball back into play. That's what I'm looking at first, getting the ball back into play because it's automatically their point if you don't get it over the net. I can't tell you how many, this last weekend that I played, how many points I lost because I just didn't get the ball back into play. I was either in a hurry or I thought I had the better shot or I wanted to hit it harder than I should have and it would catch the top of the tape and not go over. So that was all me. That was me not only physical but mental, not putting the ball into play. That means that person didn't have to do anything. All they did was get the serve in and that was it. But it wasn't a particularly good serve. It's just that I didn't hold up my end. They did theirs by getting it in. I did not by getting the return back. So now I have all kinds of choices. I can hit it down the line. I can hit it down the middle. I can hit it cross court. I got lots of things I can do. I can hit it short and hope they can't run up. I can hit it deep and force them to run back. I've got so many choices, it's not even funny in singles. I've got lots because I'm not avoiding anybody. So I need to develop what I think is the best style. Do I see that they don't move very well to their backhand side? Then keep my play in the backhand. If I see that they don't move forward very well, then keep my ball short so I draw them in and I can lob over their head. Do I see that they like the deeper balls? then I won't give them deeper balls. Do I like to see that they don't put as much pace on it? They want higher balls and they hit them in the net? That's what you do. You rally. You put the ball in play and you rally to see what's going on. Now, just because you return from here, you don't stay there. You reset yourself back to the middle of the court, probably behind the baseline, because again, you don't want to be caught by long or deep balls that land on the line and they're at your feet. You can't make either of them call or you can't put them back in play. So as soon as I make my return, I come back and I reset, which is what the server is going to do. They're going to come back to the middle of the court and reset. If I stay over here, where do you think that next ball is going to come from the server? My gosh, it's going to be over in here and I'm going to have to run to get it. And then I'm over here and they're going to hit over and I have to run to get it. So I don't want to be the person running while that person just runs me. That's poor strategy on my part. I want to hit the ball where they're not. That's the whole point of singles. Hit the ball where they're not and force them to hit back another shot. So hit where they're not. Don't hit right back to them in the center unless it's an especially good shot. It's got top spin on it. Maybe it's a slice on it. Maybe it's got a lot of power on it. Maybe it's enormously deep and they didn't move back. That's a different story. But just to keep hitting back and forth to where they are moving you around, no, that's not what you want to do. You want to figure out what your best approach is going to be, what's your best shot. Now, going back to what we saw in doubles before, if that serve comes in really short and you're here, there's nothing to say that you can't move up and then send that ball short or down the line, or move up and send that ball short and send it wide out of their way, that you move up. It's not to say any of that, but you're looking at what they've done and what ball is coming to you. Now, I think the thing that's hardest about in singles is we have a tendency to, once we're playing a lot and once we play better, we have a tendency to execute by what we think that we want to hit. Not every ball that comes to you is like balls in drills. Drills are very consistent balls. When someone drills with you or someone hits with you, they almost always hit you the same balls. The same thing when I drill. When I get people working on their shots and learning to, I try to hit them a good, easy ball that they can hit that ball back on. Well, nobody does that in a game. Sometimes they mishit it, it goes way up. Sometimes the wind blows it. Sometimes it comes off their racket really funny and doesn't bounce up the thing you want it to. All those things may happen, so you have to get your body has to be in the position you want to be to hit the ball. The ball's not going to come perfectly right here in your strike zone. It may be up here. So what do I want to do if the ball's up here? Do I want to wait till it drops right here? Do I want to get it as it comes up on the rise? Do I want to meet it and go, okay, I can't hit the ground stroke from here, but what I can do is I can lift it back up from here. I can contact the ball higher up instead of where I usually do hit the ball. It's impossible to hit a ground stroke with your ball up here, as it's impossible to hit a volley with the ball down here. Volleys are in this area, like shoulder height. If I go for a volley and it's down here, then I actually have to get underneath the ball and hit up on it in order for it to go over. So there's going to be no pace on that whatsoever when I do that. That's going to be more placement than pace. So I'm not going to be able to hit something with some depth on it or some strength on it because I'm trying to lift it up and over. So there's a lot of things to take into mechanically what you can do. I can't lob a ball that's like this. I have to be able to get underneath it to lift it to go from low to high to hit a lob. Now, if I want to bump it back, that's a different story. A ball's up here high. I take my racket in my hand and I bump it. I just kind of bump it straight on, bump it up. Or I stick my arm out and I just kind of block it. I'm not actually swinging through it. I can do that on a high ball. But am I going to decide that that's the ball I'm going to hit? Is that correct ball? So singles is more for the right choice. The right choice or the right shot. Because you're playing just one other individual. Again, you don't have to worry about the net people. You have to worry about what's coming back from this person. Okay? Your strategy may be, I'm going to hit short in order for this person to have to move up to get the ball. Then, when they hit back to me, you got to remember if they get to it, now they are in the offensive position. You shorten the ball to make them move, which is a good thing to do. But if they didn't have any trouble moving and getting up to it, either because it wasn't short enough or didn't have enough pace on it, now look where they are. So, okay, now I have to make a lot of decisions, okay? Can I pass them on the backhand? Can I pass them on the forehand? Can I lob up over their head that's deep enough they can't hit it? So I have now 3 choices to hit. But if I don't execute any of those 3 choices correctly, this person has power to do everything. They can just poop it over any of these areas. They can angle it over. They can smash it over. They can hit right down the middle, and the odds of me getting it are going to be great. Not very great. So the exchange of power. Who is now offensive and who is now defensive? So there we go. They want to tell you that 9 times out of 10, you really don't want to hit to anybody at the net at any time, because it's so easy just to stick your racket up and get your racket on it, and then you won't be able to get to it. So singles has some similar, meaning positioning things that doubles has, but it is still its own game with its own things to think about. Now we've talked again, lots and lots of strategy that has to do with positioning and types of shots, and mentally which shots we should hit and which shots we've not. What we haven't talked about is the mental aspect of scoring of the game. Scoring of the game. You want to be up 30 love so that the next point could be 40 love. You want to be up 40-15 so the next point should be game. If you're down, you only want to be down by 1 point. For instance, 30-15, be down if you've got 15-30. You get down 2 points, 40-15, they only need 1 point. They only need 1 point to win the game. You've got to have 30, you've got to have deuce, and you've got to have 2 more. You could have 4 points to win the game. If you're down 40-15, you have to have 4 points. They only have 1. I can't say that enough. 4 points. So being at 30-30 means you have to get the next 2 points in a row. Being at 40-15, you only have to get 1 point. Being at 40 love, you only have to get 1 point. So what I'm getting at, there are important points. Important points. You don't want to waste a point. You don't want to waste it. You want to know the times are there. And I'm not saying don't think about 40 love or 40-15. You have cushions in there. So you could afford to go for something there and you still have points to win the game on. So if you're 40-15 and you go for a shot, now it's 40-15. You still have 2 points ahead. If it's 40-15 and you go for a shot, 40-30, you're still 1 point ahead. So mentally, those are important points. Let's go to important games. Say the score is 3-2. You're ahead 3-2. And you win the next serve, or you break their serve, either one, and you go up to a lead of 4-2. That's called a mini break. You want to be at 4-2. You don't want to be at 3-3. You want to be at 4-2. Okay, say you're now at 4-3 and you win the next game. That puts you at 5-3. So you only need, listen to this, 5-3, you're up. You only need 1 more game to win the set at 6-3. Okay, when you're up 5-3, they only have 3 games. They have to win 4 games. You only have to win 1. They have to win 4 games. 4 games. So being up 5-3 is hugely important. Hugely important. You don't want them to start creeping back up on you. You want to try to win it when you are up 5-3. I say that also from experience. You want to be ahead 4-1. You want to be ahead 5-2. You want to be ahead 5-3. It's really hard winning on 3-2, 4-3, and think of how important 5-4 is. Think of how important being up 5-4 is. How important. You have 5 games. They have 4. All you have to do is win this next game. Play good points, important points, and you will win the set. And if not, it's 5-5, 5-5, and the next 2 games are so crucial it's not even funny. So that person in one game put you in jeopardy for winning the set with just that game. So that's a very mental thing, and a lot of people will tell you that there's nothing worse than being up 5-2 or 5-3. Again, I hate to say that that's what has happened to me too in the past. So you get up, you think you have a little bit of an edge, you don't play the points as seriously each time, or you think that you could do something different than what you have consistency-wise, and you can't. So that's when the mental part of tennis starts being apparent or checks in right there. And I'm not saying people just quit or they just do whatever, but sometimes you just let down a little bit. So that's an important part of it right there, is not to let down mentally or physically how you're playing. And I will say that I think sometimes that the letdown is easier in singles because you just have yourself to work with. Doubles, yes, you can both have a letdown and things can go kind of wild, but you've got a partner, and a lot of times the partner will help you get going. The partner will help you and you guys can talk it over. Because in doubles, singles the same thing, but it's not effective this way. But in doubles, if you're not serving good from one side, then next set, you guys change sides. If you're not good at playing on the forehand side, that's the side you pick. Who cares? Start from the other side in the second set. In singles, you don't get to change serving. You always have to serve from both sides. You don't get to change receiving. You always have to receive from both sides. So there's a lot of things going on in there that you don't get to change as singles like you do as doubles. Okay? So it's a little bit tougher on your brain and a little bit tougher on your body for you to do that. There's a lot going on in strategy. I'm going to list some of the stuff that we've just gone over, and I may not remember to list everything, so you may want to be thinking about it on your own, because there'll be a lot of things that you can tell me on this unit right here. This unit, the key word for the unit is Fila, F-I-L-A. That's a tennis brand, Fila brand. It's a very popular brand, more so European than it is here, but it's a really good brand. And you'll notice that all of these supplemental or intermediate tapes that I've been doing, from 1 all the way up to 9 right now, have all had tennis sports companies on them, Wilson and Dunlop and Head and Adidas, etc., prints. So today's is on Fila, so that I know that you've made it almost 45 minutes into this segment that we're on, talking about strategy. And we encompassed a lot of things. We encompassed types of shots, ground strokes, volleys, half volleys, slices, lobs, being on the offensive, being on the defensive, hitting cross court, hitting down line, hitting short shots, hitting drop shots, moving into the net, working with your partner, keeping those areas closed down where they can't get around you or past you, and having ideas on what you need to do to change. There's just so many things in there. But let's talk about mental preparation. Let's talk about, one would be scoring. Where are you in the scoring? Where are you in the scoring? Are you leading? Are you behind? What are important points? So that has to do with scoring. 2, fitness-wise. How well do you move? That's a mental aspect right there. Yes, it's physical also too, but fitness-wise, you are mentally prepared for this. You have gotten yourself ready mentally and physically, if you want to say that you are ready to move and you're ready to go. Okay, another one would be analyzing the other person that you're playing. So that would be analyzing. I hope I spelled that right. Analyzing the play. That's very mental. Do I realize the person I'm playing is left-handed? Do I realize they only hit on their forehand? Do I realize that they're only hitting backhand shots? Do I realize that they don't like the lob? Do I realize they're standing in the wrong part of the court? Sometimes we get tunnel vision and we don't think. We just spend all of our time hitting and we don't think about what we're doing. So analyzing is huge. You want to go right here, strengths and weaknesses. Mentally, am I thinking about strengths and weaknesses? That's part of analyzing, but that also is part of your game. So are you playing your game? Your game. Your game. And it's really funny when that happens. They'll say, oh man, they got me off my game. They wouldn't let me play my game because they sent up too many lobs, okay? Well, you send a lob back, okay? If you don't send a lob back, then start doing something where they can't lob. Don't give them a ball they can lob on. So that's a lot of mental right there. People don't realize you have to change what you're doing. You have to figure out what's not working. Don't do that anymore. I mean, if you've done it 5 times and it hasn't worked, it's not going to work on the 6th time. And even if it did, you already lost 5 points getting it there. Once it doesn't work after 1 or 2 times and it's not your execution, it's not going to work. You have to be willing to have a new game plan. So those are just a few things under mental. There's a tons more, but those are just a few things. Physical. Oh my gosh, there's going to be a lot of those too. I'm going to put right here positioning. Where are you on the court? Your position on the court. Right there. I'm going to put right here readiness. Readiness on the court. Are you ready for the next ball? For every ball? 3. I'm going to talk about preparation. Now you think that's the same as readiness, but preparation and readiness are 2 different things. I can not quite be with the right grip or the right shot, but if I'm ready to hit the ball back, then at least I can get into position as that. Okay? So I've got to be willing to think about those physical things as you're going on. And then 2, your fitness level. So I'm going to say fitness level. Okay? If you do not move well, do you want to be playing singles or do you want to be playing doubles? If you literally don't move well, forward, backward, and side to side, how are you going to cover the court? Okay, another physical aspect, and we talk about this, execution. Now, I probably could put execution under mental, because sometimes execution is mental. Did you have your racket ready? Okay, readiness is under physical, but mentally, was I ready to execute, or was I looking at somewhere else? Was I not thinking about my best shot as that goes along? I have no idea. So that could probably go both ways. Another one that execution reminds me of, and this is all mental, is planning. Planning. My penmanship's getting really bad here. Planning. Planning on my shot. I played a lady, Teresa, I played her for a number of years, and she's moved up. She's very serious about her tennis, and so she's moved up. And we were talking after a match one time, and I said, man, I just can't get your number. I do really good when I play with you, and I like playing with you, but I just can't quite get your number. What's the deal with that? And she said, well, I have more planes than you do. I think in terms of ABC on my shots. You sometimes just think of A, maybe a B, but you don't go past that. And she says, what that means is, if you send me across court, then I look up and see it's across court and I see where you're standing, I already have 3 choices in my mind. I'm going to hit back another cross court, but it's going to be deeper. Or I can hit back another cross court that's shorter to make you move, or I can change directions and hit down the line. So I've got 3 ideas when the ball comes to me. And if it comes to me where I have time to turn down the line, then I hit it down the line. If it comes to me and makes it rush and I don't get a good follow through, then I'm going to hit it shorter. If it comes to me and I can step into it, then I'm going to hit it deeper back to you. Which as, when she would hit to me, I would just think sometimes, God, I hope I get over there to it and I can hit it back. So a lot of times I didn't have what happens after that. Let me get over, get it back, hit it deep, and then I'm going to move over to cover it. I didn't think sometimes that far ahead of time with her, so that was planning. Now I know that that's very similar to execution, but she had a plan, which at times enables you to execute. If you you don't have a plan, you don't have an idea what you're doing, it's going to be very difficult to execute. So all of these, think about these, mental and physical, come under strategies. Mental and physical under strategies. I don't do a lot of this in the beginning class or when people first learning, because I want you to feel comfortable about just making contact with the ball and hitting the ball and having a good time putting the ball back into play. Once you get to where you can do that in play, now you want to start incorporating things that's going to make your game even better. Oh my gosh, look at that forehand I just hit. That was very effective. So I need to use that forehand at that time. I need to do that type of forehand. Now I need to see if I can hit forehands down the line, forehands cross court, forehands down the middle, forehands deep, forehands long. I need to look at that. Maybe even see if I can maybe hit some forehands with topspin, maybe some forehands with a slice. Maybe I change my grip a little bit. So I got more things. I got more tools in my box. I got more of my toolbox is getting full. I have more in my arsenal, more things to work with. But it's a combination of mental and physical, because you'll find some people that are the best, every ball they can hit, they're in great shape and everything, then they just kind of let down, and emotionally then they don't come up with the right shots. They let somebody else that maybe is not a good quality player get to them. Again, I go back to different people I played. A person that I was a better player than, I almost lost the match because the person got to every single ball I hit. No matter how good it was, they managed to get there and get the racket on it. Now, they were out of position when they got there, and they didn't hit back a very good shot, but they got to it. And so what did I had done over here? I knew I hit a good shot. I knew they were running, so I just kind of a little bit mental and physical, just kind of let down. I wasn't patting myself on the back saying, oh, what a great shot, they're never going to get it. But part of me was like, I don't see them getting to it, and if they did, they're not going to hit a good ball. So I wasn't then mentally and physically ready to go ahead and cut off that next ball. I just kind of, So, I mean, that was a struggle for me. I allowed my game to go down because I wasn't mentally prepared for this person to get in every single ball, and then I let my physical game not do anything because I gave up my readiness and being prepared for another shot coming back. And remember, that is the whole premise of tennis, to get one more ball back than the other person gets back. One more ball back. I get that next ball back into play. They don't get it back. That's what's going to win you points. I get my serve in, they don't get it back. I get my return in and they don't send it back. I get the lob in and they don't get it back. That's what's going to win you points right there. It's not what we think it is by hitting a serve 900 miles an hour, which is wonderful that you can hit a serve that hard, but can you keep doing that? No. Percentages of it? No. It's wonderful that you can hit down the line so close that somebody can't get it. But is that a good percentage shot? Not always. I mean, a lot of times it's a lucky shot that he hit right on the line and they couldn't get it back. So the premise is to get one more ball back, no matter what ball it is. One more ball. Even if I miss it, one more ball comes back. That's to my advantage. Okay, your word of the day is fila. I hope that you've enjoyed this one. It's much easier to talk about strategy, positioning, all this stuff inside than it is outside, where the court's so big and we're so far away, and moving people around, that's really hard to do. But next week, we'll start back with some of our play, and I'll do some commentary with it. We'll have some singles players out, some doubles players out, and I will talk about some of this right now that we went over today. I'll talk about some of that next week. And we'll have a new unit with new information I want you to send back to me after watching it. Don't forget, you can contact me anytime you want. Don't forget that I've left all of these videos available for you. And I will send you the TCC log so that anytime you want to backtrack on any of the videos, you can also go backwards on and get the videos. Even though the lesson may be out of the way, you can at least go back and observe some of the videos. Also, don't forget that you've got the 2 professional videos on file that are there, the men's match and the women's match, that I would love you to watch on and off parts of it just to see a lot of the stuff that we're talking about and see if you can pick up on some of these things that are in here. Thank you very much. Again, we're week 9. We are coming up close to 3/4 of the time through. We're already past midterm, so we are getting going on this, and I hope everybody's enjoying themselves and having a good time. Thank you very much, and I'm going to press the off button for today's lesson. Bye.